Average at Best Cornhole here with some series from Rebel Bag Co.
That's right. RBC, family-owned and operated company. We have a couple of their series, the Judge, and then also the Crook. And the neat thing is we just won a brand new set of Judge just from their participation in the Big Ass Cornhole podcast. Cooper and I have a lot of experience throwing these bags because we threw them in their virtual league that they run through their Facebook page. We'll discuss that in a little more detail later, but let's get right into it.
RBC rates both of these speeds a 6 on the slow side and a 9 on the fast side.
And we're going to get into the materials a little bit later, but the slow side on the Judge is different than the Crook. And maybe brand new they play at that 6, but we definitely feel that the Judge, it tones down, plays about a 5.5, and then the Crook, the slow side on that, all day, every day, that plays about a 5. And to get right into those materials, the Judge, it does have that popular R carpet that we're all used to. And then the Crook, it has that other hybrid slow side. This is the one you'd find on the Wintertide, the Lucky Surefire Elite, and the Goated Sweetness. And it does play a little bit slower than this R carpet, but still acts as a hybrid.
We're going to discuss the template, and we feel that they play a medium to large.
A lot of bag companies now are making bags that are medium or maybe even a little bit smaller. I think the idea is a smaller bag goes into the hole. These do play a little bit larger than that. They feel a little bit larger than that. And they are fuller, which is unique. A larger bag, it's going to make up for a missed shot a little bit more too, because, if you're off target a little bit, it has a better chance of catching the hole. Now, I did weigh them also, which weigh a lot of bags, and most of the time they're under 16 ounces, and 16 ounces is nominal. These weigh right at 16 ounces. So they're going to feel a little bit heavier than most other bags you're used to, just because they do come in right at nominal. Moving on to fill and flop, and both of these bags, they pretty much have a mixed fill, and I think it feels pretty much the same for both of them.
The Judge is a little bit more floppier than the Crook.
Yeah, and I wouldn't consider the Judge, a floppy bag. It's kind of, in my mind, a little bit more of a fuller bag than it is a floppier, but I think these materials stretched a little bit more than what the Crook did, and that's why it does feel like a tiny bit larger and a little bit more floppier. Time for the slide up, and we're going to start with the highlight and low light of these bags, and it's a template. We're not used to larger, fuller bags like this. That is what makes these bags unique, and it's good because your margin of error for a missed shot decreases like these. Now, with them being a little bit larger, it's also going to create more surface area on the boards, which adds friction. So they are going to play, just a touch bit slower than these materials and what you're used to. Now, the only other problem with that is that most people aren't familiar with larger template bags, and it might take a little bit getting used to, but if this is your personal bag or the only bag you throw, it's not going to be an issue at all. And then there's also the people out there that do like a little bit larger of a template bag, and these will be right in your wheelhouse. On to forgiveness, and this one was easy. Which bag did we think was a little bit more forgiving?
The Judge bags.
Yeah, and that goes with the slower hybrid on the Crook. That is going to tend to kick a little bit more on you than the R hybrid on the Judge. Now, it is still a forgiving bag. It is a hybrid bag. But we're just saying that the Judge probably is a little bit more forgiving than that Crook is. And unfortunately, with them being a little bit fuller, that's going to take away from their forgiveness. But I was surprised, feeling this Judge, that big and how full it was. Mm-hmm. It was way more forgiving than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. Whole bodiness on these, and this is also easy. The Judge is going to have a little bit more whole bodiness than the Crook. And one of the factors is the slow side. It is a little bit faster, but actually, the little bit extra flop, you got a greater chance of that catching the hole and going in for you. The Crook, now, it does have enough flop also. Yeah. And in most conditions, I'm not saying this slow side is slow. It's not slow. It's just a little bit slower than that. It, too, has some drip to it.
We'll talk about collectability.
Yeah, I felt that the Crook collected a little bit better than the Judge. Now, it is a little bit smaller template than what the Judge is. It's not a smaller template, but it seemed to be a little bit more fuller because it didn't stretch, so it grabbed other bags a little bit well. And what goes for that goes for the Judge too. With that little bit of larger template, we were talking about, the error of missing a little bit, it can make up for that. Also with the Collect, if a bag's off to the side a little bit, you got a larger bag sitting there, and you're throwing a larger bag to collect it, you have a greater chance of nipping it and pulling it on in. And I felt that the Crook did that, a little bit better than the Judge. The Judge sometimes tend to bunch up a little bit and miss that block. It was a little bit harder to pull another bag in from off the side. But what was good about the Judge is that you could bunch that up and squeeze it in between stuff when you're throwing also. And the most important part, the playability of these bags, the Judge, that's a hole runner to me. Yeah, you can lay a block with it, and it does make a good blocker because, it is a little bit larger and it is a little bit more intimidating. And you can cut it a little bit. It isn't the best at cutting.
No.
But running holes with that bag, it was very good at that. The Crook, on the other hand, that is definitely your dirty style game bag.
Yeah.
Since it is a little bit slower and it's easy to lay that blocker, it's easy to cut that bag. I've seen people roll it. Definitely get around your own blocker and then clean it up on your last shot. And what's really good about the Crook, and I guess the Judge too, is that they are a little bit more versatile. So if you're going to go up against someone that can't handle a block, why not use that bag and lay a block and distract them and confuse them? And another great thing about the playability of these two bags is that they're easy to switch back and forth between them. So if you get somewhere and the boards are super fast, maybe pull out the Crook. Or you're going up against someone that just wants to run holes, use that Crook to set the block and cut around and get around your bag. And then the Judge, it is a little bit versatile. You can play like that mixed game with it, run holes a lot, but then surprise them with a block and really throw them off their game.
You could find these bags at rebelbagco.com.
And they have a whole slew of different Facebook pages, just at Rebel Bag Co. for their main page. They do have a group, which is at Team Rebel. And the neatest one about it is the at Rebel Bag Co. Virtual League. That's where you can actually get in some virtual Deca leagues with this company. You throw their bags in it, and we were in it last summer. It was fun. You throw at your own house on your own time, and you compete against other Rebel enthusiasts. Now, they had like 4 different leagues, I think, and 3 of them were free. So you can actually join it for free, and they were giving away prizes and stuff at the end of it. All right, we're going to briefly talk about designs too, because RBC, they excel in designs. I think that's what made them so popular a few years back when they were unstamped. They actually helped lead the unstamped movement. The website does have a lot of designs, but if you get up with one of their ambassadors, which they're all over the Facebook, they have ambassador exclusive designs, lots of crazy different things. We're going to touch on the cost.
The Judge with the Pro stamp is $105. And then the Crook with the Com stamp is $100.
Finally, our overall thoughts on these bags, and I was very impressed with RBC. You're going to get that from, the smaller family-run company because their quality is going to be a little bit better than what you're used to, and it was for these bags. They're great bags, and I highly suggest you go out and get yourself a set.
If you want to be average or something, you might as well be average at cornhole.